This is Crime and Coffee. Hello, and welcome back to Crime and Coffee. This week, we're talking about a love story. Well, a supposed love story that turned out to be a multi-million-dollar nightmare. Frank, this case is it's so brazen.
It truly is, Lisa. Today we're diving into the heart of a romance scam network, one that didn't just operate in the digital world, but dared to step out of the shadows and into the real one. We're talking about Darlington Akporugo, the self-proclaimed mastermind, and his partner, Jasmin Sood.
The way they work together, it almost sounds like a twisted Bonnie and Clyde for the digital age.
An unsettlingly accurate description. Their operation was a masterclass in manipulation, exploiting a fundamental human need for connection. This wasn't a quick con. It was a years-long, calculated scheme that left a trail of emotional and financial devastation. And it all began with a simple hello on a dating site. Imagine you're a recent widow. Your heart is broken. Your life feels empty, and the loneliness is almost unbearable. You decide with some trepidation to try an online dating site. It's a new world, but you're hopeful. Soon, you match with someone who seems perfect. They're handsome, successful, and most importantly, they're kind. They listen to your stories, they laugh at your jokes, and they make you feel seen again. You fall in love.
That's the dream, right? That second chance at happiness.
It is. But for dozens of women across America, that dream was a carefully constructed fiction, a lie designed to bleed them dry. The man they were talking to, who they believed was falling for them, was actually a 47-year-old from Houston, Texas, named Darlington Akporugo. And the woman they may have never even known about, his partner, Jasmin Sood, was his accomplice, managing the money and pulling off the dirty work behind the scenes.
So they were a team, a couple, working together to manipulate other people's desire for love. It's truly heartless.
Heartless is the exact word the judge used. Between 2015 and 2022, this couple orchestrated a massive fraud that stole over $3 million from vulnerable victims. Their story is a stark reminder that in the world of online dating, not every profile is a person. Sometimes it's just a web of deceit waiting to be sprung.
Let's take a moment to humanize the people on the other side of the screen. The federal authorities identified over 25 victims, but the true number is likely much higher. Many were older women, including several widows. These weren't naive or foolish people. They were individuals in a vulnerable state, seeking connection and comfort after profound loss.
This is where the emotional manipulation is so cruel. They weren't just after money, they were preying on grief.
Absolutely. The scam wasn't just a financial transaction, it was an emotional one. Akporugo and his network used fake names and profiles to build genuine-seeming relationships. They'd spend months, sometimes years, texting, emailing, and talking on the phone, creating an illusion of intimacy and trust. They'd learn about their victims' lives, their families, their financial situations, all to better exploit them.
They'd know exactly what buttons to push.
That's right. They'd become the victim's confidants, their emotional anchors. And when the time was right, they'd start introducing the problems. It could be a sudden business opportunity that needed a small investment, or a medical emergency, or a legal crisis that required a quick influx of cash. The victims, feeling a deep sense of loyalty and love for this person they thought was their partner, would open their wallets, sometimes wiping out their entire life savings.
And it's not just the money they lose. It's their sense of self, their trust in others, their faith in humanity. That's a wound that doesn't heal with the restitution payment.
Exactly. Special Agent in Charge Chad Plants of ICHSI spoke to this, emphasizing that these scams leave people emotionally devastated and financially ruined. The courage it takes for these victims to come forward and admit they were deceived is immense. It's a huge step toward reclaiming their lives. The criminal timeline of this case spans an impressive 7 years, from 2015 to 2022. It wasn't just Akporugo and Sood, it was a full-fledged network with different roles. Akporugo, the mastermind, the voice, the charmer, the puppeteer, pulling the strings from Houston.
And Sood was the one handling the money, right? The money laundering part.
Correct. Jasmin Sood, also known by the alias Jaslyn Washington, was crucial. She created fake businesses and bank accounts under aliases to receive the fraudulent funds. She would then use disguises, like wigs, to deposit the stolen money, attempting to make the transactions untraceable. This demonstrates the level of planning and organization behind the entire operation. It was a well-oiled machine. While most of the fraud was conducted online, a truly chilling and aggressive shift occurred. In at least one instance, in the Houston area, the suspects didn't just ask for money through a screen, they physically approached a victim. They convinced her to get in a car with them, drove her to her bank, and then gained control of her banking access devices.
Wait, they met her in person? That is a huge red flag and an escalating risk I hadn't even considered for online scams.
It is. It blurs the line between online and in-person fraud, and it shows the level of aggression and confidence this couple had. They were willing to move from digital deception to direct physical coercion. This particular victim was forced to buy a luxury vehicle and rent a mansion for them. This brazen act ultimately became their undoing. The investigation into this network was a sustained multi-jurisdictional effort. It was conducted by ICE HSI, which is notable because it points to the case's complexity and its trans-state nature. The victims were scattered across the country, from Chicago to Kentucky, so federal agencies were essential.
And how did they get caught? Was it that in-person meeting that tipped off the authorities?
The physical meeting with the Houston area victim was the key. She was coerced into buying a luxury car and renting a mansion for them. The police were able to track them down, and authorities arrested the couple while they were living in that very mansion and driving the victim's car. It was an astonishing act of hubris. Once they were in custody, the investigation could connect the dots between the numerous victims and the financial trail. The sheer scale of the fraud, over $3.1 million, spoke to the longevity and organization of the scam. Evidence showed how Sood's creation of fake businesses and bank accounts was a crucial part of the money laundering operation, and how Akporugo directed the online manipulation. The case was so solid that the couple eventually pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit wire and mail fraud.
So they didn't even go to trial. The evidence was overwhelming.
That's right. A guilty plea often signals an undeniable amount of evidence, and in this case, it was a mountain of it. Their pleas in late 2024 set the stage for the final act, their sentencing. The sentencing hearing took place on June 25, 2025, at the federal courthouse in Houston. It was a powerful day, with 4 victims bravely testifying about the emotional and financial ruin the couple had caused. Their words highlighted the heartless nature of the crimes.
The victims' voices must have been so important for the judge to hear.
Incredibly so. U.S. District Judge Charles Eskridge listened to their stories of false promises and betrayal. He then handed down a stern sentence. Darlington Akporugo, the ringleader, received 188 months, approximately 15 years and 8 months, in federal prison. Jasmin Sood was sentenced to 121 months, just over 10 years and 1 month. In addition to their prison sentences, both were ordered to serve 3 years of supervised release and, crucially, to pay full restitution totaling $3,123,073. This is a powerful, if often unfulfilled, gesture of accountability.
It's good to hear they were held responsible, but paying back over $3 million? The victims will probably never see all that money again, will they?
That's a very real possibility. While the restitution order is a legal obligation, the actual recovery of the funds is often difficult. especially when the money has been spent or moved out of the country. This case, however, does send a strong message. The federal justice system takes these crimes very seriously.
Frank, this case is a chilling look into a world that feels both familiar and deeply alien. What do you think is the biggest takeaway for our listeners?
The biggest takeaway is that online romance scams are evolving. They are no longer just about a Nigerian prince email. This case shows a level of organization, sophistication, and aggression that we need to be aware of. It's a reminder that romance scams are not always confined to the digital realm. The fact that Akporugo and Sood were willing to meet a victim in person and physically coerce her is a game changer. It shows an escalating risk for victims.
It completely changes the rules of online safety. It's no longer just about not giving out your bank information. It's about not meeting up at all, especially if there are any red flags.
Exactly. Public awareness campaigns need to be updated to emphasize that never meeting or giving financial control to individuals met online is a non-negotiable rule. This is particularly important for vulnerable populations, like the widows targeted in this case. The fraudsters are getting bolder, and we need to be smarter and more cautious.
It's a difficult conversation to have, especially with loved ones who are lonely. But it's a necessary one.
Absolutely. The FBI and other agencies have tips. Do a reverse image search on a profile photo. Check for inconsistent stories. And most importantly, listen to your gut. If a person you've never met is asking you for money, it is a scam, period. This case, though heartbreaking, has hopefully provided some clarity on the severity of these crimes and the need for constant vigilance.